Hello, hello, hello. Yes, we are here again on What's Your Spark? It's your show host, Regina Huber, CEO of Transform Your Performance with the same website, transformyourperformance.com. Live from Miami Beach, Florida, United States. Yes, I'm still here in Florida, but on the road again, not too far from now. Next destination is already waiting, and one after that even. And my nomadic soul is literally craving and crying out for movement and travel at this point. Although this is certainly not the worst place in the world to be, I have to say. My eclectic life and experience on 5 continents has allowed me to become a multicultural and multilingual transformational leadership coach and inspirational speaker. And during my travels and life on different continents, I've seen an infinite variety of brilliance in people all over the world. So I've made it my mission for this show to inspire you to ignite a flame, to ignite that spark in a beautiful big flame wherever you go in your life, and to really fuel that flame continuously so you can turn it into a strongly burning fire, so you can shine your brightest light out to the world, and in this way increase your influence and impact, and hopefully also the amounts in your bank account, especially your impact as a value-driven leader. That's what I'm really, really passionate about: value-driven leadership. Value-driven leaders who stand up for humanity, for whatever that looks like in your world. It may look different, of course, for and everybody watching. What we do need you to do, though, is to be bold, to show your brightest light, and to really allow yourself be inspired by all the wonderful guests I bring on this show. And today is such a day again. I'm delighted to introduce to you Jeannine Rivers. Jeannine, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, Regina, for having me. I love this. I love your show. I love you. And thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity.
Of course. And I'm really delighted that you're here with us today. I was truly looking forward to chatting with you. You're a really, really, really special guest. So let me quickly introduce Jeannine to you and let you know who she is. Jeannine Rivers is a visionary and global business connector. As founder and CEO of Illuminate Your Dreams, she walks with women during their darkest moments, leading them to the light of their dreams. That's something we are talking both about, right? Light the spark. So that's a wonderful fit here. Jeannine encourages women to build a more comprehensive strategy for their future that will ignite their vision and voice with the world. She focuses on providing a safe place that promotes community, connection, compassion, and healthy mental well-being. In addition, Jeannine is a professional vocalist and songwriter who has traveled throughout the United States, motivating the masses with music. And that is so freaking amazing. Now, I know that there's so much more that you should know about Jeannine, and she actually also has a show here on Win-Win Women TV. So if you'd like to know more about her, definitely check out all her other information. She's going to share toward the end of the show where else you can find her, including on her show here on Win-Win Women TV, where there's also a little bit more of an extensive biography that you can read there. Anyway, let's get started. Jeannine, are you ready to sparkle your brightest light?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I know you're always ready. Aren't you?
Yes, I try to be. Yes, yes.
Yeah, we do the best we can, right? But that's how I know you. That's how I have experienced you. So let's sparkle away. First of all, share with us, what do you consider your special spark, your unique oomph?
Oh, I consider my unique spark and my special spark my inner being and my soul. Mm-hmm. My willingness to share parts of my life that most people would find difficult.
Mhm.
My saying is, I have no skeletons in my closet, and I really don't. They're all sitting out with me and they're all dressed and looking cute. Let's talk about it. What do you want to know? And to me, that is a unique spark, because women like to know that they are not the only ones traveling the valley that they travel. And when I am able to meet them and greet them and love them right where they are, that is very significant.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. And, sharing our stories requires a lot of vulnerability. I
Mhm.
have gone through that process myself. In the beginning, I couldn't share some of my stories without getting really emotional. But what's really important when we share our story is to find the transformation in it and to inspire through that transformation. Would you agree?
Yes, I totally agree. I like how you use the word vulnerable,
Mhm.
Regina, because there have been times I have told my story with shame.
Mhm.
I was like really afraid and ashamed of what other people would say or what they would think or how they would treat me. And there are times that I have told my story and I have had people treat me differently
Mhm.
based on what they found out. And then I've had some people that have celebrated me. So being vulnerable it's been very brave for me to be vulnerable, but it has also opened up the door to allow other people to be vulnerable with me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, because, if we just put out a facade, then we're not making a real connection with other people. So they don't really trust us to share with us, isn't it?
Right,
Yeah,
right, right.
yeah. Right. Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. Thank you for sharing that. And so how does this relate to leadership, this spark to you? Or, I'm interested in both. How does it relate to leadership and how does it relate to freedom? Whatever you want to start with.
Oh, I love this. I love this. Leadership, sometimes I like that saying. I consider myself a change maker. I always say I'm illuminated change maker. And if you remember the saying that you have to be the change you want to see, or that it's the man or the woman in the mirror that we need to look at ourselves. So as a leader, you have to put yourself out there and lead the way, lead the path. You're the one with I think of when you're walking through the woods on those old movies and you see them holding up the light. I think it's a lantern, and they're
Mhm.
walking through and they're leading. They're leading the people behind them. They're leading them to safety,
Yeah.
and they're leading them to the light. So that is how you become a leader, to create change.
Right.
I'm sorry, forgive me, Regina. What was the other one?
So freedom, because I talk a lot about freedom. So this is one of my passion topics. I consider myself a very free spirit. I
Ah,
always look behind the scenes and I look at what's really going on, which is probably more important now than ever before in our times, at least in times that I've lived. But it's always been important because there was so much going on that we didn't even know about. So anyway, that's a piece of that freedom, but it's not the only freedom, of course. So I just really, I want to find out about truth, but I also want to maintain that free spirit inside of me that knows that whatever is going on, if the world is falling apart, I'm still going to be there and be able to stand in my power just because I declare that I
yeah,
had this freedom.
right. For me, freedom, I feel exactly the same way you do. I want to define it, a little different for all of us. I am also, Regina, a free spirit.
Mhm.
I've been one. My mother, my mother told me she never knew what to do with me because I was different.
Yeah.
And when you are a free spirit, in a lot of ways, you're a rebel with a cause. We're
Mhm.
the professional troublemakers. We are the ones that will say what needs to be said, and it's not very popular with other people. So for me, freedom means being able not to live in this box, but to not only to think outside the box, but to live outside the box. No, and we don't care what others have to say. We're going to use our voice and speak our voice, speak our truth, and be free to do it. That's you.
Absolutely, I love
That's
this.
us, Regina. That's us.
Yeah, just throw that box out, right? No box.
Right,
I
right.
can absolutely, relate to rebel and to being the weird one. Like, so many times I have even written entire speeches about talks, pieces of talks, because I think it's also one of the reasons why I have made distinctive uniqueness one of the pillars of my signature coaching framework, Powerful Leadership Transformation. So distinctive uniqueness is a second, pillar of that. And there's a good reason for that, right? Because, I felt like the weird one as a little kid, and it wasn't always easy because I was also extremely shy. So I oftentimes felt very excluded, and I was thinking differently. My family is wonderful. Okay. They're very, very, receptive to other people's views. It would not reject them, but or oppress you in any way, even because of them. Right. But still, it wasn't always easy to express what I wanted to express because I was confused sometimes, and I had to find my truth as I was moving along in life. And I'm sure, a lot of other people have had to go through a similar process. But many of us, we think we have been weird, and maybe we're not so weird, right? Or later found out that weirdness can be good. It's a part of the unique, wonderful, amazing being we are. And it's just really about finding our path and making all sense of it. So, of course, later, again, I was oftentimes in the minority because I moved to these different places in the world, and I was different looking, and I was different speaking and whatnot, right? So it never ends in a way, but I am no longer seeing it as an impediment. We can also use it as actually an asset. So, we have a way to distinguish ourselves and to not be afraid to distinguish ourselves through the differentness that we express, right? Over time, as we learn to deal with it, to make the best of it.
Yes, yes.
And as we learn that it is done by design and not by default.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So I'm curious, how did you find your spark?
Wow, that's a very good question. I found my spark during a time in my life where I had life happened, and I had something very personal happen to me.
Wow.
And I didn't handle it in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually got me in a lot of trouble. But it was at that moment that I learned that what happened wasn't so much because of my anger. What happened was everything, there was a domino effect of years of a psychological and emotional abuse that was happening in my life. And then one day I just got tired of it. And that spark helped me realize, ooh, I'm onto something. I didn't do this because of this incident. I did this because of everything that was going on in the past. I'm just tired. Mm-hmm. And then it helped me learn to analyze my life, pick it apart, and figure it out. And underneath it all, I found that spark. I'm like, you mean tell me I'm not stupid? I'm not dumb. I'm not fat. I am beautiful. And then from there, it just start, all the positive things that I needed start happening. And I had to deal with myself and my emotions and my feelings and my trauma. And that was like a boatload of spark. I think that was a fire.
Yeah, exactly. It sounded like an explosion to
me. It was. It was like,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah, when it accumulates, and then all of a sudden there's a moment when it just needs to come out and explode. And get to the surface, right? And
Right.
we get too triggered at that moment than to hold it back any longer. And that is also meant to be at some point, because yeah, so I would say, nothing is a waste.
Right.
Every experience is a learning opportunity, of course, as we know, an opportunity for growth. And even the painful experiences, they often lead us to the most important breakthroughs and to the most important life paths, even for some of us, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we also, it's so important in those circumstances that we learn to forgive ourselves for what happened, because what happened to me when went through an extremely painful experience in so many ways. I felt betrayed. I was cheated out of lots of money. It was fraud. I was cheated out of my business eventually, although there was a consequence of it. But I I found it easier to forgive the other person than myself. It took
Right.
so much longer.
Right. Do you think, Regina, it was because you didn't think there was such a thing as forgiving yourself? A lot of people don't realize, why do I need to forgive myself? It was like really weird to me. I'm like, forgive myself? And I'm like, oh.
See, I had been studying a lot of holistic healing at the time. So that really helped me to get out of that crisis eventually, but also to step into, from out of victim mode into a self-empowering mindset. But also, I think the reason why that was, and although I knew that forgiveness was actually important because of those studies, um, I was so resentful against myself, because I thought, okay, you should have seen that coming. You should have known this. You could have avoided this. You should have, could have. But I actually could not have, because I knew much more in hindsight. And yes, one other learning that I made though was also that if I had just trusted myself more enough in my intuition at that time, I'd done everything literally in my life by myself. Well, not all by myself, but I had traveled, I had moved by myself all these years, created a new existence almost in every single location in the world. Sometimes I just learned the language just before moving there and stuff like that, right?
Right.
But all of a sudden I said, okay, why not have a little relief? And there was this person who could have made it easier, but actually that was not the case,
Right.
So
Right.
why then did I not also trust myself to make it happen by myself at that time? And so that's also another learning. Yes, it's good to partner up. I'm all for co-creation, but sometimes it's just not the right partnership,
Right. Right.
you know
Right. Makes
so
total sense.
yeah. And what taught me a lot about what the right, better partnerships are? Human design. I studied not everything in human design in detail, but I studied my own profile quite a bit. And that gave me a lot of insights about why certain partnerships were actually not right. Apart from maybe some other external factors that that we need to do more due diligence for, but that's a different topic, right? Anyway, so yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. I'm just listening to all of your wonderful wisdom.
Oh, and me to yours. So it's a wonderful exchange. Thank you for that. So how do you now make a difference through your spark? Share a little bit about us and how you work with people. How do you use it? How does it find its expression? And,
Um,
and yes.
I when I meet people, and what I find very humbling is because I'm able to talk about my life and the bad and the good and the things that have happened in my life. I know a lot of people that knew me then and that they know me now. And they appreciate my road, okay, in my the road that I've traveled. And so I get a lot of clients from friends, within the community. I think that people see my willingness to just be open and share. They're drawn to me. So I literally always say on my show every week, I literally grab your hand. And if I can see like you don't see that light. And if I talk to you and you're just like, I've been trying to do this for years and you're stuck, I like grab your hand. I go, okay, let's go. And then I travel the road with them up that mountain because you know what, Regina, I can't think of too many things in life that I haven't gone through. I have an old soul for 58 years old.
Mhm.
And so I care. I care about people. I give of myself to people. And I have women that contact me and they, you know, basically for mental well-being, I teach suicide prevention skills.
Mhm.
And suicide prevention skills are teaching people self-care, self-worth, how to love yourself, what you can eat. It's just all of those things that you need to keep your mental well-being at the point so that you're not down here and you're up here and I want you to see your worth. So that's how I work with people. And one quick story I have to tell you, this morning I was at the post office
Mhm.
and this lady walked in with her daughter. Regina, her daughter had to be 8. She had the most beautiful auburn red hair and freckles. And I looked at this girl and I said, "You are so beautiful." She looked at me. I said, "Your hair is amazing." I said, "I hope that when you get older that you don't dye it because I have to buy that color in a box." And I just kept telling her how beautiful she was. And as she grew older, if she got teased by the kids, because she's different, right? I said, "You are unique, you are special and extra special because of your hair." And it was curly and it was wavy. It was like down to here and it was auburn. I was like, oh. And you know, her mother grabbed me aside. She said, "Thank you." I said, "Find her some books about kids with red hair." I said, "Just tell her every day how beautiful her hair is." And the lady, as she was walked away, she turned around. She said, "Are you a school teacher?" I said, "No, I am a coach of girls and women to help them feel fabulous." And I gave her my card. She says, "I'm going to call you." I'm like, "Yes." So it
That
comes
is so
natural.
awesome.
It comes natural.
Yeah. We don't do, yes, of course. I mean, I love actually going around and making compliments to people. It's so lovely, you know.
Right,
And
right,
oftentimes they're not prepared for it. So, what, me? Who do you mean? Right?
right, right,
Yeah. So, you know, and then sometimes they're so surprised that they don't even know what to say.
right,
But in the end, if you give them enough time, they always warm up. It's so lovely. They're just not used to it, right?
right,
And
right,
kids
right.
need that so much. I remember, you know, I was extremely shy as a little girl, and it was just my nature. And, you know, back in the day, I didn't grow up, as I said, I have a wonderful family, but I didn't grow up in a family where we were constantly told how smart and how beautiful we were. That was not the habit. It was not the custom, you know, it was not what people said to us in the
Mhm.
family.
Right.
So, you know, when I saw this in other places, especially also in other cultures more, I was really surprised and I said, wow, that's really nice. And of course, you know, because we know so much more about all of these, the benefits of it, you know, my brother and my sister who have kids, they would do it, but it was just not in that culture, you know,
Right.
in the past. So yeah, I think it could have done us good.
Right. Right.
But of course, you know, we all always do our best, and no parents are supposed to be perfect.
Right.
I think they've done a wonderful job in many other ways, of course. And you know, it's just something that we learn as we go along. So, and we can then share it with other people as you are doing. So that's really lovely.
Thank you.
Yes. You mentioned your show, and we do have a little more time, but So I want to quickly throw that out to our audience so that they can check it out. Your show is on Saturday at 7 a.m. PST. That would be 9 a.m. Central Time and 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
Correct.
And then there's some mountain times in between too, and all,
Oh, they have
and all
times.
the other global times, right?
Right.
So figure it out, please, in the time zone converter online. And her show is called, so it's Jeannine's Voice of Reflection.
Yes.
I think that is a really beautiful, beautiful show title. Why did you choose that?
Well, it started out as Illuminate Your Dreams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is when we were going to have the suicide prevention channel, which I'm quite sure we still will. So I'm, Illuminate Your Dreams. That's what my business is about, is suicide prevention. And then one day I said, I need to really change the title of my show, because I wanted to be more authentic and talk more about my life. So I changed it to Jeannine's Voice. And it's literally a voice of reflection, Regina. I talk about things that I have gone through, and I give my own personal tips of what I did to get over it. And then I do a little research to see what some other tips may be. But it's about sharing my tips and how I've gone through it, what I did. It worked for me. It may not work for you, but this is how I got over the mountain. So that's what I do.
That is amazing. And I have had the pleasure to watch a few pieces here and there. So yes, it's very, very easy to follow along in your show because you are very engaging. So thank you for that. And also, of course, as as that performer professional, you also have an amazing speaker voice.
Oh, thank you so much.
So yes, I have never really seriously worked on my voice, but I do like to pay attention to it sometimes, and I wish I were better at it. So I
think you're amazing
at it,
so Regina. I think you're amazing at it, and I love how you pronounce my name. You pronounce it the way it's supposed to be pronounced, and a lot of people don't know that. So I thank you for that. Your voice is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, yes. And Jeannine is, I think, the natural way for me to pronounce it, because that's probably how I don't remember exactly why, but probably because that's how I heard of the name the first time in my life,
Right.
Many years ago. I don't know.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Oh, it's a pleasure, of course, whenever I can do it. There's more difficult names sometimes, but spending so much time in Africa in the last few years, I'm also trying to do my best at some of those. So yeah, and to just honor people's names and their pronunciation. See, I've gotten used to Regina, even Virginia, which has never been my name. I've heard that so many times. Regina, in all these different places where I lived. And my real name is actually Regina, but I have sort of, I just make it easy right now for people to pronounce it, to write it, especially when they need to. So I just duck right now, and it sounds nice too, so I'm fine. So tell us a little bit more about where else people can find you, Jeannine, and tell us about, well, we talked about your show already, but we can maybe just quickly also repeat the title and the time.
The name of my show is Jeannine's Voice. Saturday mornings, I start out the day for everyone, 7 a.m. Pacific time. And then you can contact me at Jeannine@illuminateyourdreams.com or www.illuminateyourdreams.com.
Okay. Fabulous. Thank you so much again for being with us here today, Jeannine. And to everybody else, thank you for being with us. Thank you for watching, for listening, and being inspired by my wonderful, amazing guests. Next Wednesday, it's going to be just me again at the same time, same place, at 2 p.m. Eastern, when I'll be all alone and lonely here again. No, my audience will be there. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about sharing a surprise piece of content. And in the meantime, as always, keep shining in your brightest light, sparkle away like the precious pearl you are, because the world is your oyster.
Oh,